in January, so right after the show aired, I had 335 reviews. So that included star ratings and testimonials. I had 102 testimonials. And as of today, I went from the 335 to 2,116 reviews. And then as far as the ratings, the written testimonials, I have 397. So that's pretty incredible. And that was thanks to Liz teaching me how to do that on Jungle Scout.
Today, I'm excited to introduce our next guest for Jungle Scout Seller Stories. This person created an original product that can be used by just about everyone. She began selling on Amazon after already selling her product in multiple large brick and mortar retailers, not to mention other online retailers like QVC, Kroger, and Lowe's. She's had multiple TV appearances, pitching her product, including an appearance on Shark Tank, where I believe she holds the record for the most attempts to appear on the show. She's an incredibly tenacious and passionate entrepreneur who's endured and overcome a lot of obstacles along her journey. I know that you're going to be inspired, as I have been, so it gives me great pleasure to introduce Kim Meckwood. Hey Kim, how are you going?
I'm great, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. To kick things off, Kim, would you like to tell us very briefly where your business is at today?
Sure. So today I'm selling on a couple of online retailers. I'm selling on Amazon, which is my surprise main source of income. I'm selling on QVC and QVC.com. I'm on Kroger.com, and soon I'm going to be added to Lowe's.com. That'll be my newest account. And then I'm in a couple of retailers, and the most recent ones are Bye Bye Baby, and they're actually owned by Bed Bath & Beyond, so I'm hoping it goes very well so that I could transition into Bed Bath & Beyond as well. And then my newest account is that I'm going to be doing a test in a chain of grocery stores in the north, in the Michigan area. It's called Meijer.
Wow, that's really, really impressive. Congratulations on all the success and all the different retailers that you're in.
Thank you. I'm trying hard.
Now, I'm super curious. Click and Carry is a really interesting product. Where did the idea come from?
So I had this awesome boyfriend, and when I would come home, I would call him and he would come down and help me with the groceries. And then when we broke up, I had to carry my own groceries. So I knew there had to be a better way. And initially it was, I'll show you. So this is a click and carry now, and I'll quickly show you how it works. You simply twist it open, and the idea is to load handle bags onto each side, and it's any bag with the handle, plastic, paper, canvas, even your purse. Then once you have it in and you evenly distribute the weight, you can click it back into place because there's comfy gel, so you can hold it like a handle, or better, if you evenly distribute the weight, you can wear your groceries in your hands free. And quick tangent, I invented it for groceries, but people use it for paint cans and construction pails or dry cleaning. You can walk multiple dogs at once, sports equipment. And interestingly, you can actually put your phone, your iPhone or iPad in here, and it's a stand once you get it home. But what happened is my original version was just the bottom portion. And imagine that without the top. And it worked. It was perfect. But the problem is when you set the bags down, they would pop out. So I knew there had to be a top. So then the next iteration included two pieces with a magnet, and that worked perfectly. But I knew that people would lose one of the two pieces, or God forbid, a little kid could get hurt. So ultimately, I came up with the winning concept, and it looks just like this. So that's the click and carry, and I was able to get 2 utility patents on it.
That's really cool. Now, I definitely want to dive into the story, but before we do, let's rewind back, and I'd love to hear, what were you doing before you started Click and Carry?
So I'm from a completely different industry. So I worked in pharmaceuticals and medical device sales. In fact, when I ended up inventing Click and Carry, I was working with movement disorder specialists who are neurologists who specialize in Parkinson's or dystonia, or all sorts of movement disorders. And one of the doctors was sick of me telling her about my idea. And she said, will you shut up and stop talking about it and do something about it? So I did. I took her advice, and I pen to paper, I went out and I found a way to make some prototypes. I worked with a student at the Pasadena Design School, and she helped me with the 3D CAD printing. And lo and behold, we found the winner. And ultimately, I made a mold and then filed a patent, waited a few years to make sure that was secure. And then I started knocking on doors and starting to get into some retailers. And my first big retailer was the Container Store, which is the Texas store where you guys are headquartered.
I'm curious, Kim, have you always been entrepreneurial or always had ideas to sell products or run businesses? Or was this just, the first time like you had a very specific idea about this particular product? I'm kind of curious about your background.
No, I've always been entrepreneurial. In fact, I used to paint rocks and sell them door to door in the neighborhood. And then my first real invention was actually a waterbed raft. And it was basically the equivalent of a child pool that has the 3 layers of spokes that are inflatable. And if you were to put a rectangular one in a pool, and then underneath it, if you had 2 cords that were, let's say, knotted to a Clorox bottle filled with sand, you could actually anchor your waterbed raft toward the sun and get a perfect tan. So that was my first invention, but sadly my mom wouldn't give me the money for the patent. I think it was about $800 at the time. And literally about 5 years later, we did see a very similar product in the pool store. So she should have listened to me and she should have given me the money for the patent.
Was there any point that you were looking to continue a career, say in pharmaceuticals or sales or something else? Or was that always just kind of a day job whilst you were trying to make products?
It was a day job to make my product. In fact, there was a while there, probably about 5 to 6 years ago, where I was able to leave and do click and carry full time. And that's actually when I hit my first home run with QVC. But unfortunately, I had to go back to work. I made a big mistake with taxes, and I ended up with a huge tax bill and had to go back to work. So I ultimately went back to work for about 4 years, and I'm proud to announce that I was able to quit my job again in October of last year. So it's almost a full year, and the airing of Shark Tank really gave me a nice bump. So I'm knock wood, doing well, and I'm continuing to work full time on Click and Carry, and I hope that's the story for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on being able to quit your job and work full time. That's really amazing. That's what a lot of entrepreneurs are aspiring for. When you first came up with the idea, did you do any sort of market research or any way to kind of validate that this was something that people were after?
Absolutely, I did. And you would think that I would give up because there were 16 bag carriers at the time I filed for my patent. But the reason I was awarded a utility patent is because it's the only one that could be both carried in the hands and worn over the shoulder. So it's considered a new utility feature. So I decided to move forward with it. But if someone looked and saw that there were 16 competitors, they would be really shy about moving forward. In fact, I have a bunch of competitors on Amazon, and knock wood, to this point, no one has the hands-free benefit at this time. And hopefully they don't come out with it.
Was the shoulder carrying always part of the product idea, or did that come later?
No, it was, because that's the real benefit, because it's easy to carry items in your arms and your extremities. But the thing is, that means all of the weight is on the extremity. But when it's worn over the shoulder, your back is the support system. So even though it's just as heavy, it feels like half the weight because it's evenly distributed. So it makes a world of difference. And actually, my 2 new inventions that are coming out, they're strapping systems that connect to the Click and Carry, and they use the back for the support system and make it easier for people to carry heavy items.
Tell me about the designing and engineering process. What were your steps from having the idea to kind of getting this designed and made?
So at the time, it was just renderings, and that's when I contacted my friend Jennifer, the one who was the neurologist who told me to shut up and do something about it. She put me in touch with her neighbor who was studying product design at the Pasadena Design School. And the beauty of that is that they had access to a 3D CAD printer, because if I had hired an engineer and and worked out a prototype. They would be about $2,000 a piece for just a prototype. But because it was part of the school, it was about $200 per prototype. So I worked with Audrey and made some adjustments because she was able to do the 3D CAD building, and I didn't know how to. So we would make modifications, and I came up with the different changes. And ultimately, after 9 prototypes later, we finally ended up with the perfect version. But then I had to make a mold to make sure it was going to work, and it didn't. There were some flaws, and that luckily I made the mold, and luckily I was able to modify the mold. But what I learned at that time is that it's hard to see, but there's a male-female part that makes the clicking noise. And that was necessary to get the top to stop and lock into place, because before it was just too easy to just twist around and twist around. So we made that modification. And then I also added these little prongs. And believe it or not, they make a big difference, because if you have 6 or 8 bags, what you would do is you would put, let's say, 2 bags here and a bag here, and it would enable it to go an inch higher. So it would be easier to get on your shoulder, so you could carry all those bags, and they would kind of fan out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And once you had the product developed, did you always have a launch plan in mind?
So that was more doing research and focus groups, and how that ended up playing out was we're selling at farmers markets, or where I live, there's a huge flea market called the Pasadena Flea Market, where 20,000 people go one Sunday every month. So I would do these little functions and get customer feedback and find out how to market it. And this was before I even knew about all the other alternate uses of click and carry, but it was just basically pounding on doors and knocking on doors to local grocery stores and getting my product in there. And it was just hard work, and pounding the pavement that was my marketing plan. And then ultimately, I ended up doing a trade show called the Home and Houseware Show in Chicago, which was my real launch, because I was in an area called Inventors Corner. And as an offshoot of exhibiting in the Inventors Corner, you're a part of a pitch group. And I was able to pitch to all of these different companies. And lo and behold, QVC saw Click and Carry and really liked it. But unbeknownst to me, they had gone to this local talk show host. Her name is Bethany Franklin. Most people know her from The Real Housewives of New York, and she sold her business for, I want to say, like $100 million. It's called Skinny Girl. And so I was on her talk show, and I thought I was going to go on and get some business advice from her and maybe a $5,000 or $10,000 stipend. And instead, I ended up getting a contract with QVC, and it really was my big start, and it gave me a lot of credibility.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then at what point did you discover Amazon?
So kind of recently, I started on October 11th, 2017. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was actually fulfilling the product myself. I wasn't fulfilling by Amazon. And I was hesitant to go on Amazon because I had a friend who told me, don't go on Amazon, you're going to get knocked off. But I realize now I missed the boat. I should have been on a lot sooner. And anyway, I ultimately started about maybe a year and a half ago, becoming serious about Amazon. And then when I was on Shark Tank in December, it really gave me such a huge boost, because the problem with Click and Carry is there aren't very many great search words. In fact, I received all of my great search words from Jungle Scout. Thank you, Jungle Scout. But there aren't people going on and saying, oh, I need this bag handle. They're usually searching for plastic bags or shopping, assistance in shopping or things like that. And I'm even having the problem to this day. And that's why it was so important for me to go on Shark Tank, because I needed the product awareness. I needed the exposure, and it provided just what I was hoping it would provide. It was just an amazing experience all around.
So let's talk about that. How did Shark Tank come about?
Oh my gosh. So I auditioned so many years. Apparently I hold the record for the most attempts ever to get on the show. It was 7 or 8 times. And I don't know if I should be proud or embarrassed, but I finally made it, thank God. And it was both the scariest day of my whole life and the most exciting. In fact, I ran out of saliva.
Tell me, what was it like on the day leading up to it? Or I'm not sure where it was. Like, did you have to travel? Were you in a hotel room? Were you sitting there? What was it like leading up to it?
Well, luckily I didn't have to travel because I live in Los Angeles and it was just about 20 minutes away. But I flew out one of my best friends and my sister, and they were here to help me. And I pretty much didn't sleep for about 3 or 4 days prior. And we were running around doing last minute things. And I had a list of about 50 to 100 questions that I was memorizing. And I scheduled hair and makeup and made sure I had the perfect outfit. It was just, I let's just say I wouldn't want to go back in time and do that all over again. The anxiety level in preparing for that was just crazy. It was a magical experience, except the day I shot, I was told to come in there for a 10 o'clock call time. And I ended up getting bumped because there was a little kid in one of the presentations for a company. And so they bumped me, and I ultimately didn't get into pitch the sharks until 6 o'clock at night. And psychologically, it kind of does a little bit of damage. I think it made me more nervous. And by that point, the sharks just wanted to go home. They were kind of grumpy, but luckily it all turned out okay. It was a good presentation. So
I can definitely imagine how the nerves would be playing on you, just like waiting there all day. And so what were your expectations or hopes to get out of that?
Actually, it was definitely the exposure, but I really wanted a partner who could help me because I've been a solo entrepreneur and there's so much to do. And everything I learned on my own, from manufacturing to having items shipped to the United States to marketing pieces and promoting the product. So I needed a partner, and I need help in that regard. And the good news is I've outsourced a lot of things now. For example, I have a 3PL that I work with, and Greg introduced me to my awesome bookkeeper, and I have an accountant. So luckily I'm getting rid of a lot of these projects that take away from my inventing. But I wanted the partnership and I wanted the exposure, and the money was secondary because it's easy to borrow money or figure out ways to raise money. But it was more the exposure and the partnership. And I had just won the 5-minute pitch right before that. So I took that money, the $50,000 that I won, and I bought inventory for when the Shark Tank aired. So that was a huge benefit. That really helped me a lot with the inventory.
And just to wrap it up on Shark Tank, for those that haven't seen it, sort of briefly tell us how it all went down, or what was the result.
So I ended up making a deal with Mark and Barbara. The deal hasn't closed, but there's still an opportunity. So there was a lot that went into it. I actually didn't make it to air the year that I filmed it, and I ended up making it to air thanks to COVID. And so there's still an opportunity, and I still work with. I talked to Barbara's team, and they helped me a lot in business, and I've gotten some amazing business advice from Mark. He's amazing. I wish he were more touchy feely, but he's quick and to the point. So I sent him my most recent email where I asked him for his opinion on my pitch deck for Walmart, because they asked for a pitch deck. And I sent him my numbers from the show, and the numbers were phenomenal from the show. It's crazy. It was shocking. And they are actually using the numbers to promote, because it was a great amount and a surprise amount that of orders that had come in the next week, and it continues to this day. And then I also asked him, because I was in another contest for Lowe's to meet the executives, and Damon John was their spokesperson. So I asked if he could give me a good word, but basically all he did was write back and tell me about my pitch deck. And his sage advice was, Kim, they don't want to know all this fluffy stuff. They just basically want to know where you're selling and where you're successful. So he's right. He's right down to the point, and he's a smart businessman. So I secretly hope that it does end up working out, and I'll report back, because I'll find out soon.
Now let's switch gears, Kim. Looking back, could you tell me about some of the challenges that you've had along the way?
I would say I said before that finding money is easy, and that's not necessarily the case in all of this. So I've actually gone through my process slowly but surely, and I self-funded. So it's always scary. Because I always needed a backup plan. And I think that's why I was always so hesitant to leave the work industry, because I was used to having enough money to pay my mortgage and to have a little bit of extra. And that to me was a scary endeavor because you're taking a chance. I now have a nice base. So even if all of the other channels of distribution were to go away, I still have Amazon, and it's enough to pay my mortgage and for me to live. So I'm really happy about that. And I pray that it continues. And I think that with the launch of my 2 new products, it will. But it's so nice to have that as a backup plan, that I have that. So now I feel pretty daring. And CVS actually ordered 12,000 click and carries, but at the 11th hour, they had to cancel, but they want me for next year. So I have a bunch of red click and carries, but I'm more daring, and I was able to take the chance and to pay for this expensive virtual trade show because I have this backup plan that is Amazon. And I've actually also joined Amazon Launchpad. They approached me and I wasn't going to do it, but then I remembered, gosh, I'm going to be launching 2 new products. So this is fantastic. And it turns out it really is a benefit because I've been doing really well in ranking in small business and in the kitchen department. So it's been helping me, believe it or not, with my buyers, because they look at those things. They look at your rankings and they look to see how many testimonials you have. Amazon's been so helpful.
Do you have any either numbers to share or anything around how things are going on Amazon?
Oh yeah, sure. So actually, since the show, so that's 8 months because I aired on December 11th. I'm up to almost $375,000 in sales, and I have a very inexpensive product. So I'm thrilled with that. That's huge for me because I have a pretty good margin, and my product is only $12.99 or $21.99, and I find that really positive because when I introduce my new products, they're more expensive and they're sold in a bundled unit with the click and carry. So that's going to improve my basket size. So I think that's going to be huge. And the interesting thing is I found that there are so many different Amazon reviewers, influencers, and 3 of them found me randomly and have done little segments on TikTok or Instagram stories about click and carry. And I noticed an instant surge in sales.
Did you do anything different or special for the launch on Amazon?
I did. In fact, so Liz Saunders, who works with you, she's amazing. And she helped me a lot. She helped me with my A+ content and with my store. So it looks a lot more professional. And she helped me with my listings and wording. I think she's phenomenal. Plus she helped me because I did have a little bit of problem with Amazon, and that's a competitor was trying to sabotage me on the ratings. And through Jungle Scout, we instituted the Ask for Reviews. And before the show aired, actually in January, so right after the show aired, I had 335 reviews. So that included star ratings and testimonials. I had 102 testimonials. And as of today, I went from the 335 to 2,116 reviews. And then as far as the ratings, the written testimonials, I have 397. So that's pretty incredible. And that was thanks to Liz teaching me how to do that on Jungle Scout.
Yeah, that's incredibly quick growth and like an amazing collection of testimonials that really makes your listing very, very defensible. So that's amazing.
It's pretty awesome because the ones that I love the most are when it helps people, especially older folks who have arthritis. They'll say, this really made a difference. It was hard for me to carry the plastic bags, or the reusable bags were too heavy, but wearing it over my shoulders, I have a free hand to use the banister to walk up the stairs. And then one that really stood out to me is this woman, she's young. She said she lives in an apartment building, but her parking space is all the way across a dark parking lot. So she said she loves the click and carry because she could wear her groceries up, and she has a free hand in case she needs it for mace or just to be ready in case. So just little things like that.
Is there anything else you'd like to share regarding your experience using Jungle Scout or any of the tools?
You send me profit overviews. I love that. I get it every single day, and it really inspires me, and it helps me to set goals. And if everything works out, I'm going to hit my projections by year end. And by getting that and being reminded of it every day, it's phenomenal. And then another thing I love is that if I need to learn something, I could just go on YouTube or into the Jungle Scout Academy. And Lenny, you have no idea how many of your segments that I've watched. I learned so much from you. And I love the question and answer sessions. I know that you and Greg answer the questions yourselves. I've learned so much just by either going on YouTube and looking at your tutorials or listening to your segments. I just think it's phenomenal. I love that you teach us how to utilize all the tricks that you have.
Earlier on, you mentioned projections for the end of the year. What are you projecting for the end of the year on Amazon?
So I'm being really conservative because I know that the big Q4 season is coming, but I believe that I'll easily hit 500,000 by the end of the year. But that would be from actually, one whole year since Shark Tank aired. But year to date, I'm at about 200,000. So by the end of the year, I think that I can do about 150,000 more. And then, and that I think is being conservative because I have a few big pushes in that. I'm going to be pushing in September back to school. And then in October, I'm doing a big breast cancer awareness month push. I'm going to be on Good Morning America for that. And that always brings people to Amazon, believe it or not, even though they're able to buy it over at ABC through their Shopify system. It brings a lot of people to Amazon, but I'm going to do that because I'm a breast cancer survivor and I made special breast cancer click and carries. They're pink click and carries with a ribbon. And then fast forward, it's Christmas time. So this is a perfect stocking stuffer or Hanukkah gift or Kwanzaa gift. So I think I could easily hit my mark. And I'm hoping to add another couple of retail chains by then. In fact, as we were talking, I received an email from Meyer. So we're going to move forward with the onboarding with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Earlier on, you mentioned that Amazon is like great as a backup, or it gives you a lot of the safety and security and the confidence to move forward and kind of think bigger or tackle other retailers. Could you explain what that means or why Amazon is a great backup for you?
It's the consistency. I just really never dreamed that this would be so viable, that the Amazon platform would be so viable. And maybe a lot of that has to do with the fact that we've had COVID and people are shopping at home now. But I also think that we're moving away and people want to have their items instantaneously. But not only does it help me with Amazon that people want to buy things instantaneously, but people see click and carry on Amazon. And then if they see the product in the store, they're likely to buy it in the store because it's an impulse item. So it's been a double benefit. And when I was with the guys from the 5-minute pitch, it's Scott Volker, obviously Greg Mercer, Steve Chu, and Mike Jackness. When we did our projections for Amazon, we were predicting like maybe selling a total of $200,000 worth of click and carries per year. That was our projection, and I was really happy with that. And I'm 2.5 times that now, so that's pretty amazing, and I'm thrilled for it. And it just makes me realize, gosh, this is the the most viable and wonderful platform to launch my 2 new products, because now that people are searching for click and carry, now that I have the store set up and the A+ content, they could see click and carry could be used with all these other uses, and they could be used with all these different tools for other ways to carry a stand-up paddleboard or a ladder or skis, or even water bottles for people like me. I don't know about you, but I hate bringing up a case of water bottles to my condo. And I have the perfect solution to that problem coming soon, hopefully by fall. But Amazon's just been incredible. I'm thrilled. It's funny too, because I'm getting calls from other countries. There's someone who wants to represent click and carry in the EU on Amazon. I currently sell to Mexico and Canada. I can handle that myself, but I don't want to outsource too much. I can't. I could hardly handle this market. So I'm probably going to sign that contract and have them do the EU for me. And then Japan is the second market that wants to go on Amazon Japan. So I'm considering doing that and expanding, because this is a global product and Amazon is global.
Looking back, is there any specific moments that you remember where you were seriously considering giving up and letting go of this project?
Yes, it still happens. There's so many headaches. It still happens to this day. It's scary. But there's nothing like working for yourself. I loved what I used to do. I loved helping Parkinson's patients and I loved my clients, but there's nothing like working from home in pajamas. In fact, I have my slippers on now. There's nothing like working for yourself. It's so exciting when you get a win. Now, I've gotten a lot of no's. For example, that CVS thing was it was crushing, especially since I already ordered the 12,000 click and carries for them. I was supposed to launch there in October. But you get some wins, you get some losses. But as long as the wins exceed the losses, you're set. And I'm going to do this as long as I'm able to pay my bills, because I love it. It's so exciting. And then I see people like Greg who inspire me. Look what he's done with his business. It's lovely to see, and it inspires me, and it enables me to work hard and make my business a huge success too. So that's the plan. I'm going to make it a big success.
Great. And I think you've already hinted at a couple of these things, but what are the plans for the future?
So I'm going to introduce those 2 new items. I have so many more from there. My plan is to be in 6,000 storefronts across the country, because when that happens, basically the retail will explode. I'll be about a $10 million company in about 3 years if I could get to the 6,000 storefronts.
Yeah. Wow. That's huge. That's a lofty goal, but it sounds like you're well on the way towards that.
I hope so. I'm trying my best.
Kim, what would you say to anyone that is thinking about selling on Amazon or just creating a product to sell for themselves?
Oh gosh, I think you should do it. I'm going to say that there are going to be a lot of naysayers. I had so many people tell me that my product is not necessary. No one needs it. Even my own sister said, I don't need this. My garage is right by my kitchen. I just walk down the hallway. But don't listen to the naysayers. If you believe in something, if you know in your heart that you have something that's going to help the world, just go for it. And the same with Amazon. You could source products, or you can modify an old product and make it your own. There's nothing more fulfilling than putting your stamp on something and then introducing it to the world. Just go for it. And, it's so funny, because I look at all the things that Jungle Scout provides, and I haven't obviously sourced other items, but I know that through your tools, you could find amazing items that may be trending. Or for me, I could source and look for how a certain bag sells, so I can actually incorporate that into a bundled package with click and carry. There are just so many amazing tools that Jungle Scout provides, and Amazon is really giving people a chance at having their own businesses. And I just say, go for it. Don't listen to the naysayers, just move forward, do it.
That's amazing advice. Thank you. Very inspiring. How often did you encounter naysayers, and how did you push past that?
So many times. I mean, there's so many no's. And I remember a while ago, I was trying to sell to Wegmans, which is a grocery chain on the East Coast. It's an amazing chain. And the woman was older, and she said, "Oh, this is just going to collect dust." And she was probably right at the time, because without product awareness, if you look at a click and carry, you think it's a boomerang. You don't necessarily know what it's for. So she may have been right, and it hurt. And she said no, but it just enabled me to go back to the drawing board and find another way to get in. And for me, getting on Shark Tank was huge. And even being on the Bethany Frankel show back in the day, that was huge. And being on QVC, every time I was on demonstrating my product, people would see it or want it and maybe didn't want to set a 3. So they would go on Amazon and buy it. So it was just, I would say learning the ropes and not listening to all the naysayers, not listening to my sister, who is going to be part of the company now. Who said she didn't need it because her kitchen's connected to her hallway, which is connected to the garage where she parks her car. So from those no's, you get some awesome feedback, and then you take that feedback and you turn it into something positive or improve your product.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I love that. Sort of just blocking or just like turning those naysayers or turning that into feedback. I love that idea.
Oh, one more bit of advice. If you're young, just go for it. Don't worry about the job or having the money to pay the rent. I think when you're younger and you don't have a mortgage to pay, you're not tied down to a mortgage, that's when you need to really shoot for your dreams. So for real, don't listen to the naysayers when you're young. Just go for it. Just do it. Be scrappy. Sleep on friends' couches if you have to. Start your own business.
Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing your story today. You're the perfect example that anyone with enough determination and work ethic and passion can succeed. I appreciate having you on.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. I love Jungle Scout, and thank you for your awesome tools and for your awesome workshops that I've learned so much on. It's been a true pleasure, so thank you.
Now over to you in the audience. Were you inspired by Kim's story as well? Also, what interests you more? Inventing a brand new product like Kim did, or selling something that's already on the market? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this seller story, then give us a thumbs up down below to let us know. Thank you for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.